Today we would be not continuing with the same theoretical class. I will again take the theoretical class the next day. Today I have planned to start off with the practical portion. So today we will be doing cost sheet, problems on cost sheet. So we will be, this is the question, prepare a cost sheet for the following information. What is the information? Opening stock is 1,50,000. Raw materials 45,000. Work in progress 3,750. Finished goods sorry, opening stock 1,50,000, 45,000, and this is finished goods. So opening stock, these information. So raw material is 1,50,000. Work in progress is 45,000 and finished goods is 3,750. Closing stock on the other hand, raw material 1,35,000. Work in progress 37,500. Finished goods 11,250. Raw materials purchased during the year 75,000. Direct wages 1,12,500. Manufacturing overhead 75,000. Administration overhead 12,000. Selling and distribution overhead 3,000. Sales 6,30,000. So this is the information. This is a very basic cost sheet problem. I chose this problem in order to show you how the cost sheet will look. Basically how the cost sheet will look. So this will start like this.
Ma'am, can you just scroll it up? I'm writing it down.
You can take a screenshot now. That would be easier.
Okay,
That
ma'am,
way
can you
you can,
scroll it up once? I'll take the screenshot then.
yes. I'm enlarging it for your convenience. Just a second. Let me adjust. Yes, you can take a screenshot.
Okay, ma'am, done.
Done. Okay. So now over here, So cost sheet for the year ended, whatever year will be mentioned, you will be mentioning it over here, right? Then particulars and amount, actually basically two amount columns. Two amount columns, one inner and one outer. So first we know that in a cost sheet, first we consider all the direct expenses, then we start considering the indirect expenses. So let's start searching for all the direct expenses. So here raw material is one of the direct expenses. So opening stock of raw material is there, closing stock of raw material is there, purchase is there. We know opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock, what we get is raw material consumed, right? With the raw material consumed, we will add the direct related expenses. So that is, one is direct wages, as we can see in the problem, and there is no direct expenses. So we will add direct wages with raw material consumed. So let's do till this point. First is opening stock of raw material. One lakh 50,000. Add this one, raw material purchased during the year. That is how much? 3,75,000. This one. Just a second, one phone call. Sorry for the interruption. So opening stock of raw material is 1 lakh 50. Add raw material purchase 3 lakh 75. So we get 5 lakh 25,000. And we deduct it with the closing stock. Closing stock of raw materials. Closing stock of raw materials is 1 lakh 35,000.
Ma'am, is the cost sheet very related to manufacturing count?
To some extent. So the answer will be 3 lakh 90. This raw material consumed. Add now all the direct expenses. So direct wages is one of them. We do not have direct expenses in the question. So we will only add direct wages. So direct wages is 1,12,500. So what you get is the prime cost. So 3 lakh 90 plus 1,12,500 is 5 lakh 2,500. Prime cost. Add. So we have now we will consider factory related expenses. First, after all the direct expenses, since manufacturing, first you create the product. So we will consider all the factory related expenses, which also has opening work in progress and closing work in progress. So what we will do, we will add the factory overhead or manufacturing overhead. Then we will add the opening work in progress and we will deduct the closing work in progress. What we get is the works cost. Okay, works cost, that is factory cost. So add manufacturing overhead, which is 75,000, or we can do it in inner column. 75,000. Add opening work in progress, WIP, which is 45,000. So 75 plus 45, 1 lakh 20, less closing work in progress. So which is 37,000, this one. 37,500. So that is 82,500. Now if you add 82,500 with 5 lakh 2,500, you get 5 lakh 85,000, which is your works cost. Next is administration overhead. Next thing we will consider is office and administrative. After factory overhead, office and administrative, because after manufacturing the product, office related works are conducted. Official works are conducted. So over here, sequentially we will add. Here, since it's mentioned administrative overhead, I will write only administrative overhead. Whatever the question says, you will mention that only. So administrative overhead is 12,000. Along with that, add opening finished goods, which is 3,750. So 12,000 plus 3,750, 15,750. You deduct closing finished goods, 11,250. So what you get is 4,500. You add 4,500 with 5,85,000. So what you get is cost of production. After cost of production, what is left is selling and distribution overhead. Now, all the expenses related to selling is considered. So, add selling and distribution overhead, which is 3,000. Simply add this one. So, what do you get? 5,91,500. So, this is your cost of sales, or sorry, 92,000, not 91, 92,500. So this is your cost of sales or total cost. You do not have the profit figure, but you have a profit source. It will be balancing figure because we have the total sales. How much is the sales? 6,30,000. So total cost minus profit, we get, sorry, total cost minus total sales, we get profit or loss. So 6,30,000 minus 5,92,500. 37,500 is your profit. Right. So what we did in the questions, we have opening stock, three different types of opening stock. We have raw materials, work in progress, and finished
Ma'am,
goods.
will you scroll a bit down? I'm copying it.
Don't copy, please. Understand and then do.
Okay,
So there,
ma'am.
you have three different kinds of stock. One is raw material, one is work in progress, and one is finished goods, both opening and closing. You have raw material purchased, then you have direct wages, then you have three different types of overheads, and you have sales finally. So what you get is a raw material consumed over here. So how did you get a raw material consumed? Okay, so first you add opening stock, that is 1,50,000, with raw material purchase, which is 3,75,000. You get 5,25,000. Then along with 5,25,000, you add 1,35,000 and you get 3,90,000. Now, along with 3,90,000, which is raw material consumed, you are adding all the direct expenses. So over here we have direct wages. So we have added 1,12,500. So what we got is the prime cost, which is 5,02,500. Along with the prime cost, you're adding manufacturing overhead, opening WIP, and you're deducting closing WIP. So you can do in this way. You add manufacturing overhead with opening WIP. What you get, you deduct with the closing WIP. So what you get, you add it with the prime cost. So along with the prime cost plus manufacturing overhead plus opening WIP less closing WIP, you get works cost. You get works cost. Then along with it, so this was about manufacturing the product, all the indirect expenses while manufacturing the product, all the direct expenses while manufacturing the product, we have added and received prime cost. All the indirect expenses we have added with the direct expenses, we have received works cost. And we are adding all the office and administrative expenses along with opening finished goods and deducting it with the closing finished goods like this. And we are getting, finally, when we are adding the works cost with the administrative overhead plus opening finished goods less closing finished goods, we get cost of production. Then with cost of production, we are adding selling and distribution overhead. What we are getting is cost of sales or the total cost. Now we have the sales figure. We do not have the profit figure. So we are deducting the sales with the total cost in order to derive to the profit. This is our answer, right? So this is the whole problem is our answer because the question required us to create a cost sheet. Understood, class? If you have not understood, let me know. I will explain again. This is the basic problem. Understood?
Ma'am, it's clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any student who the concept is if not clear, let me know. If yes, then I will move to the next type of problem. Okay, so now let's come to a different type of problem. Means the same concept, another problem. So this is a problem on cost sheet where direct labor cost is unknown. You have to find out direct labor cost. Or rather, I would, yes, direct labor on your right, labor cost unknown. So the general heading, find the following data, prepare a cost sheet. Particulars and amount. Opening stock of direct material. $30,000. Closing stock of direct material. $20,000. Purchase of direct material. So what we get? Opening stock of direct material, closing stock and purchase. So how will we compute opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock? We will get raw material consumed. So purchase of direct material, we have 1,90,000. Then what we have is sales, which will come at the end, 6,50,000. We have the details, right? Prime cost we know. Easily we can find the direct labor if not given, because we have raw material purchased, consumed. We have raw material consumed, opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock, and we have prime cost. Then we also have factory expenses, which is 1,20,000. And we have administration expenses, which is 90,000. So along with the prime cost, we will add factory expenses, and then we will add administrative expenses, and additional details which is given in the question is 10% of the output remained unsold. So whatever was the output, 10% remained unsold. That means whatever is the finished goods, the whole is not sold. Only
Balance of
90% is sold. Yes,
closing balance of finished good.
yes, closing balance of finished goods. So there only 90% is sold, 10% is not sold. Now, it is also mentioned clearly that there is no direct expenses. There is no direct expenses. So as you should observe and understand that prime cost is given, cost of materials consumed can be easily computed. They have specifically mentioned that the direct expenses are nil. So we can easily find out the direct wages through balancing figure. And we also know that opening stock of finished goods we do not have. But since they are talking about output means what? Finished goods. So the closing finished goods, it should be the total 100%, but what will be the cost of production? The total will be what you will be transferring it to the selling department for getting the cost of sales amount, and then finally producing the product for selling. So since no information is given, so cost of production into the 10% amount is unsold, which is cost, right? The total cost of production, whatever is the cost of production, if 10% is unsold, that means unsold stock still remains, which is again a cost of the factory. So you will add it with the cost sheet because it's the cost you are adding. All the cost related issues you are adding. So the issues are three, that is raw material, labor and overhead cost. Concept will be more clear as we do the problem. So put a heading like this, cost sheet for the year ended. Particulars, amount. So here you put opening stock of direct materials, which is 30,000.
Ma'am, I think we can also start back calculation from sales itself.
Not required. Not required. This will be more easier. That will be very complicated. You can try. Once you try, if you it will be difficult because you don't have the cost of sales figure. You have only
Yes,
the
ma'am.
prime cost figure. You do not have cost of production. You do not have cost of goods sold. You do not have works cost. You only have prime cost. Works cost also you can find out somehow, but then cost of goods sold will be you don't have cost of goods sold, so that will be difficult. So opening stock of raw material plus purchase, what do you get? 1,90,000. So what do you get is 2,20,000 less closing stock of direct materials. Closing stock is 20,000. So what you get is 2 lakh.
2 lakh.
Yes. So what is this 2 lakh? This is raw material consumed
Yes.
or direct material consumed. Add all the direct expenses. So here we have direct labor. This is a balancing figure.
Yes, ma'am.
We have prime cost, which is already given. So we will mention over here as given because it's an unusual case. Generally, prime cost we need to find. So just for clarity, we are mentioning prime cost, which is how much? 4,10,000. So 4,10,000, that means
And the direct labor
2,10,000.
is 2,10,000.
Yes, 2,10,000 is direct labor.
Yes, ma'am.
Now with this, you're adding administrative factory expenses we have. So add factory expenses. Like 20.
90,000. Sorry,
Huh?
1,20,000.
5,30,000. 5,30,000. Now we add it with the time cost. So what we get is 5,30,000. So this is our factory or works cost. Next, we have administration expenses.
Ma'am, will you scroll a bit up?
90,000 administrative expenses.
$90,000 is administrative expenses.
6,20,000.
6,20,000. Now, so this is what this is our cost of production. So we got our cost of production. Now there is an issue. It has been stated that there is an unsold stock. So what we will do, we will deduct. What we do, the closing stock, we deduct. So the cost of production is basically 90%, not 100% together. So closing stock of finished
5,38,000 will be answer.
6,20,000
Minus 10%, minus 62.
yes. So what you get is 6,62,000. So yes,
So 5,38,000.
5,58,000. Along with add. So this is basically the cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold. So along with this, you add selling and distribution expenses. But we do not have such expense. So this is nil. You could avoid writing this also. So basically cost of goods sold is only our cost of sales. I have just shown you to show you the format, maintain the format, but when you will actually literally do it in the main examination, you can write down cost of goods sold slash cost of sales. Okay, so that will be 5,58,000. So over here, you add profit, which is the balancing figure. So sales will be, as mentioned in the problem, 6,50,000. 6,50,000 minus 5,58,000,
92.
92,000. So this is the answer. So sales, we know we have found out profit with the help of adding it with cost of sales. So basically cost of sales or cost of production is same, which is 5,58,000. This one is also important because here we deducted the closing stock, which we usually do, from the cost of production. Then we have added over here works cost also with administrative expenses to get cost of production. Prime cost was already given. What we found out was raw material consumed, and we found out direct labor as the balancing figure. So there were two twists. Direct labor cost, which was unknown, and unsold stock. Okay, so any stock related issue, finished goods we will consider, closing stock of finished goods. Clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. So do solve the problem at home also once, it will be more clear. Okay, so this was one type of problem. Another type, very much similar to the previous one, is like this. Problem on finding out yields purchased. So here from the following information, compute raw materials purchase. Particulars, amount, raw material, $20,000. Closing stock of raw material, 30,000. Direct wages, 2,10,000. Factory overhead, 60% of direct wages, general overhead, 10% of works cost of production, 6,88,600. So as you can see in the question, I will take the question in one page only. So as you can see the question, opening stock of raw material is given, closing stock of raw material is given, but raw material purchased is not given. Direct wages is given, factory overhead is 60% of direct wages, and general overhead is 10% of works cost, and cost of production is only given. So here we will do back calculation to find out the raw material purchased, because unless and until we find out raw material purchased, we will not be able to find out the raw material consumed part. The whole cost sheet will not be, we will not be able to uh, get all the answers, the profit figures and everything. So how we will do this? We will start off with cost of production, which is basically cost of sales, because no selling related expenses has been mentioned over here. So cost of sales will be 6,88,600. Now we used to add to come to this position. So now we need to less. We are doing the back calculation. So cost of production 6,88,600 less general overhead. So general overhead, what we get, general overhead means administrative overhead. To make things simpler, general overhead is administrative overhead, and it is mentioned over here that general overhead is 10% of works cost, right? So that means the general overhead is what, 10% by 110 of cost of production. If it's 10% of works cost, that means it is 110%. Now if we need to compute, so if this one cost of production is 6,88,600, so 100 plus 10, 110% is cost of production. So in order to get the general overhead, what we need to do, 6,80,600 into 10 by 110. What we get is the general overhead. So cost of production less general overhead, we get works cost. From works cost, we deduct factory overhead. Factory overhead is what? 60% of direct wages. So if factory overhead is 60% of direct wages, we know direct wages is 2,10,000. So 2,10,000 into 60%, we will deduct it from works cost. So after deducting it from works cost, what we get is prime cost. So from prime cost, we will deduct direct wages. Then whatever we get will be raw material consumed. From raw material consumed, what we do, less closing stock. So now in order to get to raw material purchased, we need to add closing stock. So then what we get is the raw material purchase figure. Oh no, we also have the opening stock of raw material. So now we deduct opening stock of raw material, then we get the raw material purchased figure. So that's how we will compute this sum it in the next class. The concept's clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So do try once in your home, and if computed, good. If you get the result good, the result will be wait a second, let me see. The result will be rupees 3 lakh. Purchase of raw material 3 lakh will be the answer. So do try at your home. If you can solve it, you will get this result. We will do it in the next class as well. Okay, thank you everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.